Hello, One Love family. Today is Wailing Wednesday, right? So, today is a day where I want to talk about some of my opinions, theories. Um, I'm very opinionated. These are all things that are very dear to me, or things that I feel, could make a difference, or I think a lot. So, the Wednesdays are the days that I call them Wailing Wednesdays because, a wail is a cry in anger, grief, or, sadness. So it's just the day that I'm going to speak out some of my concerns. So when it comes down to parenting, I have so many of them. But today, the last topic that I was on, I was talking about discipline and how I believe it's actually a two-step process. It's not just discipline your child, give them their punishment, and then you leave them to figure out the rest. I believe that letting their punishment should be something that they can reflect on. It should be a reminder, something to kind of burr, in the lesson that it is that you want them to learn. But the other part of the lesson, like, how would they know what it is exactly and figure it out completely unless you tell them exactly what it is? So some instances I've had with my little boy where he did something that I, didn't want him to do, and I would tell him why. If it's disrespectful, I would tell him how it's disrespectful, or, what I would like to see him do and, in the future, coming up, things like that. But as parents, I think that if we want to be effective parents, I think it's very important not only to, some of our parents were, different. I believe that all of our parents did the best that they could at the time with whatever they had and whatever they had going on. So it's like, I love the way I was raised. I love the way my mom did us. Some things that I would do differently, not because she was an awful parent, but because you live and you learn, and children don't come with rule books. So being that she was raising us for the first time, I learned a lot. So I try to be the best parent I can be. So I try to, look at some things that she did and try to learn from them as much as possible. Each child is different, and you can't raise every child the same way, which is another very important point. I think as parents, sometimes we try to compare our children, but they are all different. They all have their own mind. Even though they have some similarities, we're all a different individual. And I think that's important to know when it comes down to disciplining a child, because everyone learns in a different fashion. Some of us are auditory learners, some of us are visual learners, some of us are hands-on, some of us have photogenic memories. So some children, you wonder why they haven't picked up on a lesson, or why they continue to do the same thing over and over again. It may not be that they're being hard-headed. It may be that they have not gotten the lesson to the point where they can connect it and understand to bring about a different change. And I'm not saying that there are no hard-headed children out there, because there are. There are some people who are just determined to do things their way. And in that sense, I think that's a beautiful thing if cultivated correctly, because a child that have something made up in their mind and they're going to do it, to me, that's like a diamond in a rough. You want to get them outside of being disobedient, but you want to nurture, in my opinion, you want to nurture that, the fact that they stand firm on whatever it is that they've put in their head that they're going to do. I think that a child like that, it would be very important to teach them, to make sure that they understand that, understand the decision-making process, so that they can make good decisions that they stick to, because it is a horrible thing to hold on to a bad decision and something that you made a mistake. You just don't want to let it go because you've gone so far, or because you just stubborn. I teach my son that it is okay to learn. It's okay to be wrong. It's nothing wrong with doing something differently once you know that it's not the correct way. So I don't want to make this way too long. It's almost 5 minutes already. So thank you for sharing almost 5 minutes of your time with me on One Love. Have a great day, great people.